Good evening and welcome to the Planning and Zoning Commission meeting for the City of Cedar Falls. This April 13th, 2022. We're coming to you from the Community Center on Main Street as renovations are happening in City Hall. With that, we'll call the meeting to order and a roll call vote.
Okay. Chrisman?
Here.
Gribovich?
Here.
Hartley?
Here.
Holst?
Here.
Larson?
Here.
Leeper?
Here.
Lynch?
Here.
Moser?
Here.
And Saul.
Here.
Everyone's,
Got a full house tonight.
we do.
I like that. With that, I would entertain a motion to approve the meeting minutes from March 23rd meeting.
So moved. Second.
Motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, with this, this is a time for public comments, not related to items that are not on the agenda tonight. So if you have any items that are not on the agenda that you'd like to speak to, now's the time to come forward. Okay, seeing none, we're going to change things up a little bit tonight and do old business first. And we're going to start with an RP site plan review for the Cove at Spruce Hills. And JD, are you going to?
We've got the bicycle plan on first.
Oh, we're going to do that first?
Sorry. And then
Okay.
from there we'll go.
Sorry, it was a revision, and I'll get it right. We're going to start with the bicycle revision.
We're doing the new business first and the old business later.
Okay. All right, who's going to go through that item, the Cedar Falls bicycle plan?
I will. Good evening, commissioners. Thank you for being here tonight. This will be really quick. We had a pretty extensive presentation last time as we went over different aspects of the plan and how we came about developing the plan with the Bicycle to Pedestrian Advisory Committee, and just bring this forward for a formal vote. And if there are any questions or you would like to discuss anything further on this, we are open for questions here. Just to be clear, the committee, the Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, voted unanimously to recommend approval, and city staff is also in favor of approval of this plan. Yeah, I'll open it up for discussion. If you have any questions, we're here, and also the chair of the committee is here as well.
Okay, would the chair like to speak to this item at all? No? Okay. Any public comments related to the Cedar Falls bicycle plan? All right, with that, we'll bring it back to the commission. This item is to discuss and make a recommendation to City Council if we're comfortable with it.
I really appreciate all the work that the committee and the staff and everybody's put into it. And I think it was well explained at our last meeting, and it's a very good plan, and I would make a motion to approve it.
So moved.
A motion and second? I think we got a second. All right. Any discussion? I guess could you reiterate where people can find this plan?
Yes. So on the city's website, there is a Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee page, and there is a link to the plan on that page. So if they want to Google Cedar Falls Bicycle and Pedestrian Advisory Committee, they can find that through Google, or they can search the actual web page. So
I do have a question.
Mm-hmm.
On that page, does it say when each of these trails are going to be done or worked on, or when they are in the CIP?
It does not.
Okay.
That level of detail, has not been formally published, other than on the CIP itself.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments? All right, we have a motion and a second. Roll call vote.
Chrisman?
Aye.
Gribovich?
Aye.
Hartley?
Aye.
Holst?
Aye.
Larson?
Aye.
Leeper?
Aye.
Lynch?
Aye.
Moser?
Aye. Excuse me.
And Saul.
Aye.
Okay, so that,
All right, that item will move on to city council. Thank you. Second item of new business is the Wild Horse Ridge Fifth Edition final plat, and this item is for discussion and continuation to the next meeting.
right, and I will be handling that for Michelle since she's not here this evening. The petitioner owns 29, almost 30 acres, just that is south of 12th Street and west of Union Road. The petitioner proposes to subdivide 8.13 acres of that into 19 lots. The city rezoned the entire parcel. You can see the location on the map. From A1 to RP, and with a maximum of 353 dwelling units in 2005. The preliminary plat for the area, it was originally Copperstone, was approved in July of 2005. This plat covers the entire 148-acre property and proposed the establishment of 242 building lots with 353 units. The final plat for Wild Horse Ridge First Edition was approved in September 2007. After several alterations to the preliminary plat in 2001, the city approved the latest alteration to the preliminary plat of Wild Horse Ridge, which increased the density of the development from 2.43 units per acre to 2.72, with an addition of 10 duplex lots in the 5th and 10th editions. The petitioner Midwest Development Company proposes the final plat of the 5th edition, which comprises, again, 8.13 acres within the middle of the subdivision, and it includes connecting Wild Horse Drive to Granite Ridge Road. The property is zoned RP planned, and the RP district permits a variety of uses from single-family to multifamily based upon the master plan approved. And that master plan was approved May of 2021. The 5th edition consists of 19 residential lots, all intended for single family. Originally, the 5th edition was proposing 15 lots and did not have a connection at the south end of Granite Ridge Road, so it left a gap, but we're proposing that they extend Granite Ridge Road and construct a small section of Wild Horse Drive to provide fluid movement through the subdivision. When this was approved, preliminary plat was approved, it was prior to the new code requirements that talked about critical infrastructure. So that's why we approached them about making that connection. And they have agreed to provide that, go ahead and build that connection right now. It doesn't really change anything. The lots are the same, the street layout's the same, so it's just an additional 5 lots. There were some technical comments from the staff and Cedar Falls Utility. There is gas, water, and communication services available. The developer extended the utility services to the proposed development. The easements identified on the plat satisfies both public works and CFU requirements. Cluster mailboxes will be sized and placed in the right-of-way according to the United States Postal Service standards. All cluster mobile mailboxes will be located on lower volume streets and situated to prevent undue traffic congestion according to the direction from the city engineer's office. The submitted deed of dedication for this final plat is consistent with the previously approved deeds of dedication from previous editions and has all the necessary requirements. Again, all the utilities and the internal road connections within the subdivision will be dedicated to the public. The installed internal infrastructure is able to serve the platted lots with access to public streets and right-of-way. The installed utilities are available for the development to the platted lots. The petitioner's engineer has submitted a stormwater management plan to the city and it has been reviewed by the city engineer. The city engineer has determined that the plan meets the city subdivision requirements. The engineering division is awaiting either final completion of public improvements or an established contract for completion with the developer before the documents required will be submitted for public improvements and proceeding on to city council. The city code requires the sidewalks be built along all streets. The petitioner has confirmed that the sidewalks will be built to city standards and constructed along the frontage of the lots. The property is located outside of the regulated floodplain, and there were courtesy mailings made to property owners on the 5th. The recommendation to gather Any comments from the Planning and Zoning Commission and the public? Then continue with the discussion at the next Planning and Zoning meeting on April 27th with the following conditions. Any comments or directions specified by the Planning and Zoning Commission and conformance to all the city staff recommendations and technical requirements. And I would be happy to answer any additional questions.
All right, thank you. Is there anyone from the applicant that would like to speak to this item? Seeing none. Anyone from the public that would like to speak to this? All right, with that, we'll bring it back to the commission for comment. Again, this item is just for discussion only tonight.
Looks pretty straightforward to me. Is there any reason, if we don't have any questions as a commission, why we wouldn't move along tonight?
Only if public comment, I guess, just getting it out to the public if there are discussion.
Yeah,
Do you guys,
I mean, I think it gives the opportunity for people to go ahead and comment if they had comments, if they couldn't make it. I'm not familiar with whether it has done that. If they've not requested it, so I think we could just go ahead and go to the next one. But your point's well taken from that.
Yeah, I think it looks pretty straightforward and all that good stuff, but probably just bring it back in the next meeting and actually, in case somebody does have give them a couple weeks to have a chance to make a comment, if there is something.
any other comments? All right, with that, yeah, it seems pretty simple. So we'll bring that back to the meeting on the 27th for a vote. All right, the next item on our new business is a minor plat for the Cove at Spruce Hills. And JD?
Yes, that would be me. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Good evening, everyone. This is the minor plat for the Cove at Spruce Hills. This property is located north of Green Hill and east of Spruce Hill Drive, as seen on the location map. The idea with this proposed minor plat is the developer wants to build this parcel with 30 two-story townhomes with six separate buildings. Just a little bit of background on this. The subject parcel was created as part of Heritage Hills Second Edition in 2014. And at the time, the Track F, which is the subject parcel, was reserved for multifamily development with a density ratio of no more than 6.3 units per acre. So with the approval of this proposed minor plat, the developer will be intending to build this area for townhome development. Just to give a background about what is on this minor plat, so there are private drives as highlighted on the screen. The in yellow is basically two private drives. One is Spruce Needle Lane, which will be running east to west, and the Spruce Creek Drive, which will be north-south. There are private easements on this lot, which includes all storm sewer, water main, ingress, egress, and then the plat also complies with the existing easements on the plat, which were part of Heritage Hills Second Edition. So both of the easements are outlined accordingly. Just wanted to give a note that all on-site infrastructure will be all private, and the developer will be responsible for providing and maintaining private infrastructure, including servicing, maintaining, collecting fees from possible development of HOA, everything. With regard to public improvements, there are a few public improvements that will also be made by the developer, which includes public sidewalk along the public streets, which is highlighted in gray. So there is Melendi Lane, Spruce Hills Drive, and Prairie Parkway. So there will be a public sidewalk across those public streets, which will be developer's responsibility, and they will be also responsible for its maintenance. Some of the technical comments, which I'd like to just go through it. Just to reiterate, the cost of maintenance of private streets, including sidewalks, garbage and snow removal, will be on HOA's responsibility. City will not undertake any maintenance of those services. The MRA agreement will need to be finalized and approved by City Council prior issuance of any building permit or SWIP permits on this development. It's just the usual practice for such development. And the developer needs to comply with both existing MRA for Heritage Hills Second Edition as well as the new MRA that is in the works. I think the staff is working with the developer to finish the MRA, and hopefully we should have everything sorted out soon. Another thing, owner's statement, which is still in progress. The staff is working with the applicant to finish the owner's statement, finalized from both the parties. And staff wants to make a note that all the legal documents will be required before this case moves to City Council, including getting signatures and stamp on all of this legal documents. So it's still in the works, but just wanted to reiterate that. With that, the city staff recommends approval of the proposed minor plat for the co-wed Spruce Hills with the following stipulations. Any comments or directions specified by Planning and Zoning Commission, and conformance with all city staff recommendation and technical requirements. I'll be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, JD. Any questions for JD? Would the applicant like to speak to the item? Give your name and address, please.
Brian Wingert, 2110 Flynn Drive. JD, I just had a question on kind of what you said there. We needed the agreements done. It was typed before it moves to City Council. I just want to understand that we can approve this and move it to be ready for City Council, just not on the agenda. Is that correct?
You mean if it is approved tonight?
If it's approved tonight, it can move on to City Council. We just can't put it on the agenda until those agreements are completed.
Yes, that's correct.
Yeah, and I think we're all but done with those, so we're pretty close there, and would request approval tonight and moving this on to City Council. This would be the second meeting. It's the first meeting for the site plan, but the second meeting for the actual project. And I don't know if anybody behind me is here to speak, but last time there wasn't either. I don't know if you were here or not, all of you, but it doesn't seem like there's too many objections. So we'd ask that it would be moved on. Thanks.
Thank you.
Just to reiterate, I think this is the first meeting for minor plat and second meeting for site plan, which we'll be reviewing later. So thank you.
All right, is there anyone from the public that would like to speak to this item? Could you give your name and address?
Deb Eel, excuse me, 4219 East Park Road. I just wanted to mention that I have no problem with the development, but my concern is the waterway behind the development, that not be damaged at all, because there's a creek behind there that about maybe 100 yards downstream, 2 backyards were completely raised all the way down to the creek, and that was too bad because there's quite a bit of wooded growth there. I have 2 lots. My husband and I have 2 lots in the very northeast corner when you saw that picture of the plat. And we live right at the end of the waterway that starts under Green Hill Road and runs diagonal behind the duplexes or townhouses there and ends right at our property. At the end of that, there's a little waterfall now that it used to be a fairly shallow stream, but now it's probably 6 feet deep due to erosion. And there's an approximately 25 by 40 foot hole where the direction that the cement waterway runs, the creek then turns. And a few years ago, the flooding just circled in that and washed away the bank about 25 feet away from the main stream and about 40 feet long. We've piled rocks, we've put things in there to try to keep more dirt from washing out, but the trees, the roots of the trees are really all that's holding just plain black dirt, and it just falls into that hole. What I'm asking the city for, and I've been in touch with JD, Maria Perez, Cam Yar has come out and looked at it, to restore that area before they actually do building on the site, so that if they would bring rock in there to restore that hole, that washout area, that they could do that before they do any cement work or grading of the new property, so that that area could be restored before they do construction of the project. I do have pictures of it. I've sent those to this other city people, and they feel it's a point. The timing is critical as far as trying to get that restored. Right now, trucks could probably get within 40 feet of it, 40 to 50 feet of it, whereas otherwise it'd probably be over 100 feet to get to it. So it'd be just much easier and much cheaper, I think, labor-wise, to restore it now versus waiting till after the project is underway.
All right, thank you, Deb.
Thank you.
JD, could you speak to that item at all?
Sure, I can. And
Or the applicant?
sure. So as you can see on the screen, I'll turn on the location map. So I think you see the red boundary where the property boundary is. I think then you have another boundary or a layer, which is another outlot of the development where there's nothing happening. And I think the floodway is further north. And so the floodway abuts the property where Deb lives. So, and I think I sent them like a possible an aerial map which shows how far the possible new development will be. It's about 200 feet from the rear lot line to where the buildings will be placed. So I don't think there will be any construction or any activity in those two sections, but we'll make sure to add. I think we have there is a floodplain area where they would need a grading permit, so we'll make sure that nothing is damaged and everything is maintained as is.
I might add from the floodplain standpoint, they can't do any activity in the mapped floodplain on this site without a permit. Anything that happens in the floodway, so if they're working with a channel and it's a floodway, would have to go through the State Department of Natural Resources for a review before they could get work in a local floodplain permit. And the DNR, that's a lengthy process. And since the developer is not actively engaged in doing anything in the floodway, then and staying out of the floodplain, I don't know that there's anything that if they want to move forward that would be able to stop it.
Is the developer confident that this issue is not going to impact the development?
Brian Wingert, 2110 Flynn Drive. Yeah, our intent is to be, and requirement is to be within the red, if you pull that back up, within the red outline again. I think you'll see beyond that, there's a white line to the northeast, and that, between the red line and that white line, is the flood zone, I believe. So we're staying way outside of that. We shouldn't interrupt anything along the creek. There shouldn't be any trees disturbed. The whole site will be contained by the silt fence, so we'll have as much erosion control as in place as required, and it should stop any erosion and silt to be getting into that creek and adding to your dirt that's piling up in that creek. I think that I think everything should be contained. We'll have an on-site manager too. So if you have any issues or if you see any leaks within that erosion or silt fence, you can meet him on site Monday through Friday, and he'll be happy to talk to you as things go.
Thank you.
If you have other questions.
May I make a comment? I think what Deb was saying is it needs to be restored with rock before construction happens so that whoever can restore that. Is that something the city does in those waterways, or it's just up to a developer that abuts that land? I think your request was, can the city come and restore that before their construction starts? Or is that something the city doesn't do? I would have that question too.
Yeah, in this case, it's a little bit different in terms of the lot that's in question is a part of an existing development. And so I think those discussions with Maria and Cami are being had with the overall developer that developed the subdivision as a whole. Because I believe those are actually tracted into that HOA's in property. It's not within the city property.
Okay.
I believe those conversations are being actively had currently.
Okay. Thank you.
If you would look at, can I speak again?
Yeah.
If you would look at the map there, that very bottom right corner in the red area, the problem area is on the north side of the stream. behind 887 Mocker Road, which is the very last house that you see by that bottom right corner point. The lady that lived there passed away in December. I'm kind of here on her behalf, but she had a reverse mortgage on her property, so the bank now owns that. So I don't know who would restore it because I don't know that the bank cares that the bank is washing away, but it's not a matter of the silt filling into the hole. It's a matter of the hole becoming much larger. And as Camyar said, it really is an area that needs restoration. And I know some of that area reverted back to the owners, but right now, there's really, I don't know who the owner would be at that area that would take care of that restoration. So yes, it's more having large rock or however hauled in to fix that small area there, the creek, so that doesn't continue to expand because, yeah, it's an environmental issue that I think the city should care about. But it is on the opposite side of the creek, so I don't, it would not involve Mr. Wingert at all. It's just I'm asking if the city would be able to restore that area on the opposite side of the creek. They would have to have access from the south side to do that. Because right now, there's no place that a dump truck could pull in on that north side. Everything's too tight or the electrical lines would be in the way. There's really, the former mayor was down there with me several times. He used to live about 3 houses down, and we've talked over that spot several times. And we really don't see, he didn't see a way that you could access it with any trucks from the north side. It would have to maybe go on an elevator from that current south side that would be the only accessible point.
Okay, thank you, Deb.
I don't know if this needs to be said publicly or not, but you're more than welcome to use any of that route for the next 6 to 8 months as we do construction. So if the HOA or whoever's in charge of that wants to reach out and talk to the project manager on site, you're more than welcome to use our site for that.
Thank you. So this is the responsibility of the homeowners association. It sounds like, are there any teeth for the city to encourage that, or it's happening and we're just kind of advising along the way?
There is a previously established maintenance and repair agreement that would have been established for parts of that flood boundary more on the south side, but I know there is active concern there, and I'll bring it up to the director's attention.
Okay. With that, we'll bring it back to the commission for comments. We've already been doing that. Sorry, but.
Sorry, this is on the same subject. Deb, I don't know who Maria is, but have you reached out to anyone at Blackhawk Soil and Water? Because I know they do have a budget for creek restoration. So that could be a potential option. And I know that would not be through the city. They do work together, but they're nature people.
Thanks. Other comments? All right. It seems like there's some challenges there, but not necessarily related to this development, and it seems like the developer is ready to
Yeah, I would,
allow us some assistance. But
it looks like to me, I mean, the minor plan seems to be all in order and make sense. We don't run any questions, so I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any other further discussion?
I did just want to add at the last presentation for, I believe, the site plan of this, the developer mentioned that these townhomes or townhouses will be about $250,000, and he thought that was, at the moment, some of the lowest housing that you could develop at the time. And so I just want to make sure that everyone is aware that in the resilience plan that came out last night, in several city council meetings, we have discussed missing middle housing. And I think that statement really shows how missing it is. It's a very high number for middle housing. So while this site plan is great, I just want, the developers and the community to be aware of that number. Thanks.
Appreciate it.
Are we closed?
Yeah, we're closed now. Thank you, though.
Since I'm not real familiar with everyone's voices when I'm looking down, who seconded the motion? Okay, I thought so, but I just want wanted to make sure.
All right. If no other discussion, let's do roll call vote.
Okay, Chrisman,
Aye.
Grivovich,
Aye.
Hartley,
Aye.
Holst,
Aye.
Larson,
Aye.
Bleeper,
Aye.
Lynch,
Aye.
Moser,
Aye.
and Saul.
Aye.
All right. Thank you, Tom. That item will move on to City Council. Old business tonight. We have a few items on the list here. The first one is the RP site plan review for the COVID Spruce Hills of the same project. And JD, are you doing this?
Yes,
one?
yes, I'll be going through this. So yes, this is a second meeting for the site plan for the COVID Spruce Hills, which we were just discussing. The same location where the minor plat was just presented. I think this is just a bit of background. I think in 2004, the entire area was rezoned to RP, and this was the density was at that time was developed was 4.47 units per acre. I think then in 2014 there was another iteration about the plan wherein there were a few changes, and this track F was developed, which was reserved for multifamily development. And in June 2017, there were a lot of other developments in this area, and with this proposed project, this will be the last development in this subdivision. So just to reiterate, there are 30 units being proposed, all two-story townhomes. 4 of them are 5-unit townhomes, 1 4-unit and 1 6-unit. This will be all accessed through private drives, Spruce Needle Lane and Spruce Creek Drive. The other thing would be the layout is arranged in a manner that all the garages are arranged towards the private drives, and the front porches of the building will be on the periphery. They will be facing the periphery, so the development in the surrounding won't feel like they are seeing cars or garages. They would be seeing more of front porches. All infrastructure will be all private, so that will be delineated with private easements, as we just saw in minor plat. And the other thing, it meets all the setback requirements as per RP zoning district, including the perimeter setback. In addition, the building will be at least set back over 30 feet from the north edge, which we were just discussing. So there is a curved line that runs to the north red line here. That's basically the floodplain boundary. So as we were discussing earlier, any grading or any development in that area would require floodplain development permit, and we'll have to go through the steps of any grading work in those areas. So the building doesn't interfere with the floodplain line, but it's just the landfill or the grading of the site may interfere it. So they'll have to have floodplain permit for the same. The other thing was the easements. As we saw, there are a bunch of private easements proposed to serve the utilities to the future residents in this area, and there are some existing easements that are continued from the Heritage Hills Second Edition too. So those all will be maintained by the developer through this process. The site is only accessed through east of Spruce Hills Drive. It will be all private drive. Just want to again reiterate that private streets are discouraged as per city's code. But I think in this case we have a couple of site constraints, and so we were okay with the proposed development. City's fire division has also reviewed this proposal as per the fire truck turnaround moments and stuff. I think everything they find this is as acceptable. The other thing I wanted to highlight is dead-end streets are also not allowed as per code and must not exceed 600 feet. So this is just within that 600 feet regulation. However, we have asked for additional turnaround spaces, as you can see on one end, which the developer has provided. So there is for stormwater management, the developer will be doing a private stormwater detention facility on site, which will be then releasing into the the drainage for the entire subdivision. So this is an added measure that the developer will be taking to control stormwater on site. And once again, owners will be responsible for any maintenance on private infrastructure, including all utilities, stormwater, sewer, everything. Site is proposed with a landscape plan as is required by the zoning district. As you can see, the site or the buildings are almost are covered with landscaping on all four sides. And it does meet the minimum point requirement that we have as per code. This is the building elevation. This is how it's going to look like. The first picture is more of the rear elevation, which is facing towards the peripheral areas of the site, and the front elevation, which is the diagram below. I think it's basically through private drives. There are a bunch of lap siding materials used, the wood shakes used, and the shading is complementary. Overall, all looks great. Some of the technical comments that we have revised from our last review. First thing, the sidewalks that are in public right-of-way must meet the city standards, including ADA compliance. The landowner or the developer will be responsible for clearing snow and maintaining the public sidewalk. Staff notes that the sidewalk along public streets, including Melendy Lane, Spruce Hills Drive, and Prairie Parkway, needs to be installed prior to issuing occupancy permit for any of the units in the development. City staff notes that there are no street lighting proposed in the development, and the developer mentioned that they are proposing exterior garage lights, which will be controlled by photocells to light up the street. However, city staff recommends adding street light at least on the corner or the T intersection, as that standard is followed in any residential subdivision or on any public street. So city staff recommends adding a street light at the intersection. Outstanding issues, the street lighting location to be updated on site plan as recommended by staff. Few notes for future residents. City will not be taking any maintenance for any private drives or sidewalks. City will not provide any services such as snow removal or garbage pickup for the area. Cost of maintenance of streets, sidewalks, garbage removal, snow removal will be all responsibility of HOA, which will be established at the time of development. With that, city staff recommends approval of the proposed site plan with any comments and directions specified by Planning and Zoning Commission, and conformance to all city staff recommendation and technical comments. Staff notes that the site plan cannot be approved by prior approving the minor plat, which we just did. So thank you. I'll be available for answering any questions.
Thank you, JD. Any questions for JD? With that, applicant have any comments on this? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the public. Anyone from the public would like to speak to this item? All right, we'll bring it back to the commission for discussion.
Well, like was said earlier, it's pretty straightforward, and I would move to recommend approval.
Have a motion?
I have a question on the
I'll
motion.
second the motion.
Motion and second, now we can have discussion. Yeah.
I have a question about the motion. If the motion was to approve as submitted or with the recommendation of the streetlight?
Oh, with the recommendation of the streetlight, sorry.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve with the added
Yeah.
street lighting per city recommendations.
Okay, thank you.
Any discussion of the item? Good catch, thank you.
Is the second?
Second, yeah.
Okay.
Seems like a great project. All right, seeing no comments. Roll call vote.
Aye.
Gripovich,
Aye.
Hartley,
Aye.
Holst,
Aye.
Larson,
Aye.
Leeper,
Aye.
Lynch,
Aye.
Moser,
Aye.
and Saul.
Aye.
All right, so that item will move on to city council. Thank you. Our next two items of old business, which are an amendment of an RP master plan for the Autumn Ridge development, as well as the preliminary plat, are being deferred to the next meeting. So we will move past those. Any commission updates?
None that I know of at this time. As was mentioned, we did have presented the resilience plan last night to the general public, and it's posted online, as is the presentation that was given last night for the public to review. And if you have comments, then the comment period's open till the 27th of April. And from that point, if there's any major comments or issues that may need to be reviewed with the plan, or updated or changed, go through the change process, and then this will be going forward to the city council for review late spring or early summer.
Tom, there's lots of people that watch this. Are there any high-level updates of what was included in that?
This was the resilience plan started back in 2019, right? When COVID started. So it was all done online. There were 12 meetings that had public participation and presentations. There were some surveys that were done. And then that information was used to build just sort of details of what the community wanted in the project. And that was presented at an online town hall meeting in November. And then there were a couple questionnaires that went out after that to sort of refine the information that was provided. The initial group, there was a core team that sort of reviewed things, and the different elements of the plan had steering committee members. So we had probably 75 different people on 6 different committees, as well as the core team that were representative of the community. And those members, when we had the town hall meeting, we probably averaged 60 to 75 people at those meetings. So it was really a good connection to the public, because sometimes, public meetings, you don't get a lot of people, but by doing it online, there was an opportunity to get that taken care of. And then the plan has been in the process of getting written, and we got it done, and we were able to present it to the community last night.
Great. Thank you, Tom. With that closes our business. I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.